Welcome back. If you are familiar with the channel, welcome if you are new. Uh, this morning, the poop has hit the fan. I'm looking at CNN. It's now official. It's official because the UN has made a statement. So we'll go with that, right? They're the ones that are supposed to be saving us. And if they're not saving us and they make a statement that they're not saving us, then that's kind of important, I would say. So, UN chief says world is on highway to climate hell as planet endures 12 straight months of unprecedented heat. He's right. This shit show began in. I'm just go down and look at the figure. I'm looking at CNN. This is June 5th, Wednesday, June 5th on CNN. And there's this interesting chart down here, and I'm not even going to bother putting it on the camera. I don't know how to do that. I don't want to be bothered learning how to do it. So figure it out yourself. You go down to this chart, and it shows actually 2023. That's the only year we have complete records for. And starting in June of 2023, the latest data we have for 2024 is actually May. So starting in June of 2023, the global temperature left the chart behind. We were off the chart starting in June of 2023. And we remained off the charts, meaning not even close. The global average temperature was off the charts for the entirety of the calendar year 2023 after June. We went into 2024, which happens in January. We started a new calendar year, and we remained off the charts through 2024. Not too surprising. Come June, so June 2023 was off the charts hot compared to every year before. 2024 is off the charts hot compared to 2023. So we're off the chart when we left the chart. Do you see what's happening here? Now, it's possible that sometime in 2024, the global average temperatures will be as off the chart as they were in 2023, meaning unchanged from 2023. It's possible. It's also possible that 2024 simply continues to go increasingly off the chart. 2023 is off the charts, off the edge of the map. 2024 could be beyond that. But even if it's not, even if compared to 2023, 2024 is just the same as last year. Last year was off the charts. That's where we're at now. That's where we're at. So it even if it's no worse than 2023, that was an absolute gobsmacking disaster. And scientists at the time were saying things like, what happened? Now, that was not reported in CNN. That was not commented on by the UN General Secretary, which he's doing today as regards to 2024. And it's okay for them to not comment on what the scientists are saying because it's early days, right? Let's wait until the scientists are still saying a year later what happened, okay? So the scientists for 12 months now have been saying, okay, we don't understand this. This is literally off the map. I'm looking at the chart. It's like, it's not even on the chart. This is off the charts. What happened? That's a perfectly legitimate thing to say when something is off the charts. When you're drawing these charts and the lines go this way and they're always on the chart, and then suddenly you have a line that goes like this. It's like, wait, that's off the chart. The chart is down here. What is this? That's off the chart. And that's what they were saying. It's off the chart. What happened? And they didn't know what happened because it came out of the blue. And this is interesting in itself. 2023, and I'm looking at the chart right here. Up until June of 2023, last year up until June, which is Northern Hemisphere summer. And a lot of the data on the planet is driven by the northern hemisphere, because that's where, one, the land is, that's where, two, the people are mostly, and that's where, three, the scientists are. So they care. They care about northern hemisphere summer. It's still global average data, by the way, but they're really looking at their weather and asking what just happened. So 2023 was looking to be a so-so year. It's still tracking at the top of the chart. So the rest of the chart was below, right? And the 2023 was coming in at the top of the chart, but not beyond it, and no indication it was going to go beyond. And then when June of 2023 rolled around, it just went apeshit out of the blue. And I've never heard a credible explanation as to what happened. People were asking what happened, and they kept asking what happened, and no one came up with an answer. And there were various, theories offered, but there was no definitive evidence. And first, and most importantly, it happened without any precedent. It was unprecedented. There was nothing about the data that was happening in 2023 up to June. There was nothing happening last year that would have suggested it was going to go off the chart. Nothing. And it went off the chart. And it stayed off the chart. And it's off the chart right now. And there's nothing to suggest that was going to happen. Now, that's really important because we collect a lot of data about the Earth system. We collect more data about the Earth system in recent decades than we ever collected. It's a lot of data, and it's hard to analyze it, and it takes time to analyze it. You don't analyze it on day one as soon as it shows up. It takes months. It can take a year to analyze all this data. So they're always a little bit behind. So it's okay that they didn't predict, 2023 is going to go off the charts in June or July. They didn't. But it's okay that they didn't, because that's hard to do. So there was no prediction that 2023 was going to go off the charts. Nothing. There was nothing. And then it did. And it went off the charts by a lot, not a little, by a lot. So much so that it was like people were just gobsmacked. What just happened? There are lots of years that have been hotter than the year before. And there are lots of decades that have been hotter than the decade before. And there are lots of times when one month was hotter than the same month in the year before. And that's global data. So that's significant. That's not weather. That's global climate data. That's significant. The entire globe was hotter in a particular year than the entire globe hotter than the year before. And that has happened. And this happened too. But this was like off the charts. Didn't make any sense. Hadn't been predicted. Couldn't even understand how it happened. How did that happen in 2023? I did videos on this, and towards the end of 2023, the beginning of 2024, I was making reference to this. The scientists are just gobsmacked. They're just completely flummoxed. They have no idea what happened. They just don't, and they still don't. I have never heard a definitive explanation of what the fuck happened in 2023 from June forward. No, I have heard nothing definitive. Maybe there'll be a paper that comes out in a few years to explain what happened, but so far it hasn't happened. So I haven't heard it. So I don't know. I really don't. I watch this stuff all the time. And I've been watching this chart. I've been watching this chart for 20 years. And then that happens, like, okay. And I said at the time, I said it to my wife, and others have come along and said it later, said the same thing, because it's true. We don't know what this is about. We have no theory to cover this. There is no theory for this. I'm looking at it right now. There's nothing. We have nothing. We got nothing. And it's not El Nino. El Nino is in the old chart. We've had lots of El Ninos. They're in there. They're embedded in there. There's no El Nino up here. Up here is something else. So what is this? What happened in 2023? Well, it's still happening in 2024. So now we have 12 months of data. And now it's made headlines. And why not? Why not? It's been 12 solid months of what the hell's going on. 12 solid months of what is this? And so, fine. That's a trend, right? 12 months is a trend. And so let's talk about it. 12 months of nobody have any idea what's going on. Now, that should trouble you. Troubles me because it's gotten me sweating, literally and figuratively, because I'm going into a heat wave today. It's like I said, it's June 5th, and officially it's summer. And California can get hot. I lived in the Central Valley in California, and 95, 98, it would go over 100, and sometimes it would go like to 104. And the air would be so hot you couldn't breathe it. I remember walking out of buildings, like when I was a student on campus. I'd walk out of buildings into the beautiful Bidwell Park where I went to school in Chico. And I'd walk out of the building, the air hits you, and you just take that first breath of air as you walk out the door. It's like, it burns your lungs. It's so hot. Hits you in the face. The heat hits you like you're walking into a wall of heat. Yeah, I know how that is. Well, today, here where I am, coastal California, where it hardly ever, like never gets above 85 degrees. 85 degrees is like, oh, this is so hot. This is miserable. Who ordered this? Well, today it's going to be 93 where I am. Now I've got a little bit of air conditioning, but a lot of people around here don't have air conditioning because, hey, 85 is not so bad. You can deal with that, right? Survivable. And air conditioning costs money, and the electricity costs money. So you buy a bunch of fans, you put fans around your house, and you drink a lot of water, and you sit under the fan. And hey, by evening, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, the breeze comes in off the Pacific Ocean. Our Pacific Ocean, where we are, is really cold. You have, if you're going to surf in it or wade in it, you have to wear a wetsuit to keep from freezing, essentially. So the cold air comes in off the Pacific Ocean, and it's like an air conditioner. The temperature drops 30 degrees. Now last night it did not, but some previous nights it got down to like 57 degrees outside. That's really nice. And if you're able to pull that cold air into your house during the night, and I have a whole house attic fan that pulls the air through the house, not just out of the attic. That's nice too, but it pulls the air through the entire house. So if you open a screen door on one end of the house and you turn on that fan, it just pulls all the hot air out of the house. And it pulls that 57-degree air in, and it cools off the walls, it cools off the floor, and it cools off the ceiling and the furniture and everything. It cools everything off. And by the time you get up in the morning, it's 61 degrees inside for free. Absolutely for free. Just a cool breeze coming in off the freezing Pacific Ocean. And you just have a fan in your attic. You take advantage of it. And, the electric bill doesn't even register. It's like costs 5 cents to run that fan all night. Well, that didn't work last night because it hardly got below 70. I took it, of course. I cooled the house off as much as I could. But hey, when you're living in coastal California and you got the 50-degree Pacific Ocean off the coast, you don't do too bad. We do pretty good out here. The rest of the world, these people are up Schitt's Creek. What are they going to do? Back to the article. I'm just going to read through this article. There's not much here. And I'm going to make corrections where I think I need to. I already skimmed it. It looked pretty good. I don't have much argument with this, but I have some. Of course, I always do. But it's not because I'm a curmudgeon. It's because they're engaging in narrative warfare. And I think they need to be called out on that. So here you go. I'm going to read an article to you from CNN. Dateline, June 5th. The planet. So this is all planetary averages, right? We're not talking about New York and Cincinnati and Mexico City, although they're in there too. The planet just marked a shocking new milestone, enduring 12 consecutive months of unprecedented heat, according to new data from Copernicus, the European Union's climate monitoring service. So, this is scientific data. Every single month from June 2023 to May 24 was the hottest such month on record, Copernicus data shows. So that's worth explaining. It means that May of 2024 was hotter than May of 2023. It means that April of 2024 was hotter than April of 2023. And not only just 2023, which was setting records, but every month before. But it's always going to be compared to 2023 because 2023 was hotter than everything that came before, right? That's the point. 2023 put the chart behind. So now and this is worth repeating, every consecutive year from now on will be compared to 2023 and 2024 because they were off the chart. Even if a year in the future is cooler than 2023 and 24. It's still maybe hotter than every year prior because those 2 years were off the chart. See, so a year could come in below 2024, where our current year, and you could say, oh, well, we're cooler than last year, so global cooling, right? You could say that. People will. They'll say, look, Earth is on a cooling trend. Ha ha, it is to laugh. Where's your global heating now? Look, global cooling. It's cooler than 2024. But 2024 was completely off the chart. So you could have a subsequent year that, setting aside 2023 and 2024, which were off the chart, you could have years that come in under that, so they're cooler technically, but are still themselves off the chart for every other year we have data for. People will say, global cooling now. Well, what's your story? No, you're still off the chart. We need like a new chart or something. These years are outliers. And every year that comes after will be compared to these years that are off the chart. Does that track with you? I understand that. Every single month, repeating, every single month from June 2023 to May of 2024 was the world's hottest such month on record, data shows. The 12-month heat streak was shocking but not surprising given human-caused climate change, says Carlo Bontempo, the director of Copernicus. It was surprising. It was shocking and it was surprising because it's off the charts. So this guy is sandbagging. Other scientists that I have heard report on this have been saying things like, we don't understand this at all. This is shocking. Now, maybe it's not shocking now, 12 months later, from when it started. Maybe you could say, oh, well, now we're used to it. No, we're not. Scientists are not used to it. They're looking at this and their jaws are hanging open. They're shocked. Okay, this guy's not shocked, but this guy's a professional bureaucrat. He can't be shocked. Okay, he can't be surprised. He has to downpedal this stuff. He has to play it down. Not shocking, not surprising. We got a handle on this. Okay, they don't. They don't have a handle on this. They don't. And reputable scientists, not bureaucrats, are saying, oh, maybe you're not surprised, but we're still surprised. We're still picking our jaws up off the floor. The 12-month heat streak was shocking but not surprising. Yes, it is. Given human-caused climate change, it's not climate change, it's global heating. We're talking about heat. Why are you talking about climate change? See, these people, they're deliberately trying to confuse us, and it's working. Who warned of worse to come. Fair enough. Unless planet-warming fossil fuel pollution is slashed, this string of hottest months will be remembered as comparatively cold. Okay. Again, narrative warfare. Right now, it doesn't matter if you slash your fossil fuel pollution. Now, use the word pollution. Actually, it's CO2. Let's not call it something vague and amorphous like we don't know what it is. We know exactly what it is. This guy's a fucker, okay? He's getting narrative warfare. I hate these people. We know exactly what it is. It's CO2 emissions, okay? And once the CO2 is in the atmosphere, meaning from previous years of activity, going back, to the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, once that CO2 gas is in the atmosphere, it stays there. And once it's there, it heats the planet. And once the planet is heated, it stays hot. This is physics. None of these things can ever be changed, ever, by anybody, ever, forever, for all time. But we could innovate. Okay, good luck. Innovate your ass off. We'll see if you do that. But for now, where we sit now, with all the technology and everything we know about physics and all the things you are likely to do, all the things you're talking about now, with all that laid out on the table, this doesn't change. You can think it does. They'll tell you it will, but it doesn't change. And as far as I'm concerned, it won't, because it can't, because of physics. So this guy's saying, worse is yet to come unless planet-warming fossil fuel pollution is slashed. Slash it. You can slash it to zero. And we are stuck with what we have now. You could slash fossil fuel consumption to zero, which you're not going to do ever for the eternity of ever. And this heat never goes away because it can't, because there's nowhere for it to go. The string of hottest months will be remembered as comparatively cold. That's possible. Heat goes up. It just keeps going up. And we'll remember the great old days back in 2024. Do you remember 2024? When there were whole weeks at a time when you didn't even turn on the air conditioner. Do you remember that? Those were the good old days, right? Oh, here I am, an old geezer with my stick. You remember the day 2024? I remember like it was yesterday. And we didn't hardly turn the air conditioner on, and the evenings were cool. And I opened up my doors, and the screen door let in a cool breeze in the evening, and we were fine. And it was great. And we just turned on a fan, and we cooled off the whole house. And by morning, it was 70 degrees inside. And those were the good old days, because now, even at night, it's 90 degrees outside. What are you going to do? You run the air conditioning 24 hours a day now. That's my geezer talk. When am I having my geezer talk? Well, I'm already a geezer, so I guess I just had it. But when will that be the story? Probably not this year. Maybe. Probably not. Doesn't feel like it. But what about 5 years from now? What about 5 years from now? I'm having my geezer talk. Even at night, it doesn't cool down to below 90 degrees. Garl, darn it. Okay, there you go. A few years from now. No nighttime cooling. Could be completely done. Just over with. Past. Copernicus released its data the same day as United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres made an impassioned speech in New York about climate change, slamming fossil fuel companies as the godfathers of climate chaos, and for the first time explicitly calling on all countries to ban advertising their fossil fuel products. Oh yeah, that's all weak sauce. We stopped banning. We stopped advertising for tobacco. People still smoke. We stopped advertising for hard liquor. People still drink hard liquor. So go ahead, stop the advertising. People know what they want, and they know where the service station is, and they'll just belly up to that gas pump, and they'll pump their tank full of gas, and then they'll drive away. And they never saw an ad, but so what? I mean, I don't see ads for gasoline companies around here anyway. The service station itself is the ad, right? There's a big sign that says what the price is, and gasoline here and diesel here, and that's the ad. You're going to take that down? That's the name of the company. That's the price of the product. You're going to take that down? Because that's all people care about. Is this a gas station, and what's the price? That's it. That's all they care about. There are no ads in my community, no ads in my entire city. I haven't seen an ad for a gasoline company in probably 20 years. So you're going to ban ads for fuel products? Why? All they want to know is the price. Guterres urged, see, he can say that because it sounds like he's taking action for climate change, which it isn't. It's actually global heating. But he can sound like he's taking action because he just proposed something. And he's never proposed anything in his entire life. So he's going to propose something that's going to be weak sauce. But it doesn't matter. It's a proposal from the UN, from the Secretary General. And he has a proposition. And we need to do something. And we're going to ban ads. And people are like, yeah, wow, he's doing something. My God, this is the Secretary General. He's never proposed policy. He goes his entire life just like weak sauce and milk toast. And he's never proposed policy. And he's proposing that we end ads for fossil fuels. Really? Can we do that? What's an ad for fossil fuel? Have you seen one? I haven't seen one. What do they look like? What are they saying? Let's go find one so we can ban it. Well, you're not going to find one because there aren't any. So what's he talking about? He's talking about blather. It's more blather. It's narrative warfare. There's nothing. There's no ads for fossil fuels. No one needs the ad. They just need to know the price. Do I want to buy it at this service station or the one across the street? That's it. That's the ad they care about. Are we talking about taking down the prices? What? You have to pull up in front of the pump and look at the pump and see what the price is? Can't have the price outside on a placard? That's the kind of ad he's going to take down? No, he's not going to take that down. Of course he's not going to take that down. Does that mean that the service station can't tell you what company they are? There's a sign over the service station that says, we're ExxonMobil, we're Chevron, we're Shell. They have to take that down? No, of course not. That's the name of the business. That's not even an ad. They can keep that. So they can keep the sign over the building that says we're Shell, and they can keep the price on another placard nearby that says this is the price. And that's the only advertising I've seen for fossil fuels for 30 years. And that's all anyone cares about. Where do I get it? What's the price? That's it. He's not going to ban that. So what's he talking about? He's not talking about anything. It's blather. It's narrative warfare. It's just blather. He's trying to sound like he's a tough guy. He's nothing. He's milquetoast. He's useless. He has to be useless. Everyone's going to be useless. Joe Biden is useless. Donald Trump will be useless. No one's going to be useful in this entire thing. We're off the charts, and all they can do is blather. And it doesn't matter. Nothing they say matter. It's just chip noises, just mouth noises. It's nothing. There's nothing there. There's no content. It's just blather. It's always going to be blather. Don't kid yourself that they're saying something useful. They're not. They never will. They can't. They can't. They're trapped, just like you're trapped. You're trapped in this entire shit show. They're trapped. You're trapped. I'm trapped. We're all trapped. And if it's going to kill us, then we're going to die. That's it. Guterres urged world leaders to swiftly take control of the spiraling climate crisis. You can't do that. You can't control this thing. It's like an avalanche. You're going to take control of this. It's already started. It never stops. It never gets better. It can only get worse. Where's the control? Where are the levers and the wheels and the buttons and all this crap? What are you talking about? Take control of the climate crisis? It's atmospheric fucking physics, for fuck's sake. What are you fucking controlling, you stupid chimp? What is wrong with these people? They're chimps. They either don't know what they're talking about, and they've never given a thought to it. Either they're completely ignorant, completely stupid, or they're criminals, and they're lying to children about death. So which is it? Are they fools and clowns and buffoons, or are they merchants of death? Which is it? It has to be one or the other, because there's no controlling the spiraling climate crisis. What is that even? What if it was a meteor? That's also physics. The meteor is coming down. What's he going to do? Run out into the UN Plaza and look up and say, we must control this. What are you talking about, you clown? You're not controlling any of this shit. It's physics. It's planetary fucking physics. And we screwed the pooch. We screwed it up. It took us 300 years, but wait, we had a long time to screw it up. And we did. We finally screwed it up. And we screwed it up so badly that now we're noticing. What are you going to do? You're going to die because you screwed it up. That's what you're going to do. Everyone's going to die. And he's finally in a panic because he thinks everyone's going to die and that he was the Secretary General when everyone started to die. And there's going to be a big check mark next to him. Yeah. Antonio Guterres, last UN General Secretary, presided over the deaths of billions. He's thinking, he's sitting back in his comfortable suite and he's looking at the news and he's thinking, well, I guess, that's going to be my legacy. That's going to be my asterisk next to my name. Footnote, presided over the deaths of billions. I guess that gets to be my asterisk, my footnote, presided over the death of humanity. Not my fault, of course, because no one's going to, his words, control the spiraling climate crisis. Everyone thinks they know what that means, by the way. That's why he said it. Everyone thinks they know what that means. You think you know what that means? Leave me a comment down in the comments on this video. You tell me what that means. I want details, okay? I want physics. I want what you're fucking going to do. I want to know how the thing you're proposing controls the climate. And I want physics. I want to know exactly how it works. You better mention thermodynamics at least once in your explanation. You better mention the greenhouse effect at least once in your explanation, because that's what the fuck we're talking about. If you're not talking about thermodynamics and the greenhouse effect and CO2 impacting the greenhouse effect, then you're a clown. Then you're a clown, and you're entertaining me with your comment and your explanation on all your bullet points. You might as well be a flat earther. I find those people entertaining too. Really? Earth is flat? What happens at the edges? Explain it to me. No, I want to hear this. Okay, you come to the edge. What happens? You fall off, right? Why? Where do you fall to? What's down there? What's it like? What's it going to look like? And if the water is falling over the edge all the time, where's the water coming from? Oh, there's mountains all around the edge of the earth. Okay. All right, fine. Flat earth. It's more like a bowl. Oh, I get it. There's mountains all around the edge. Why? Why are there mountains specifically around the edge of the flat earth? How'd that happen? I mean, it's kind of nice. Keeps the oceans from draining away, doesn't it? Pretty convenient. But why are they there? Who put them there? What's the mechanism for mountain creation at the edge of the flat Earth? How's that happen? Plate tectonics? What plates? Where'd they come from? Where are they going? What's driving them around? The Earth is flat, right? Keep going. This is fun. I like this. What about the eclipse? How's that happen? Solar eclipses happen all the time. We just had one a few months ago. Everybody turned out for it. What's that shit about? How'd that happen? The Earth is flat. We're the center of the universe. How'd that happen? Yeah? You got more? This is fun. I like this. It's bullshit. It's entertaining, but it's raging nonsense. It's madness. It's absolute madness. And if I didn't find you people so fucking entertaining, if I didn't like going to the zoo to watch the chimps throw shit at each other, okay, I wouldn't go. It's entertaining. And this bullshit is entertaining. It's like, really? We're going to control the spiraling climate crisis? Really? Yeah? Okay. This is going to be good. Let's hear it. What you got, Sparky? You're going to control the spiraling climate crisis now, 300 years later? All right. What you got? Let's hear it. Bullet points. And I need to hear you say something about thermodynamics, okay? Let's go. I mean, it's amusing, but it's pathetic. We are playing Russian roulette with our planet, he said Wednesday. We need an exit ramp off the highway of climate hell. Okay, so Russian roulette is a game. You have to use a revolver because you have to be able to spin the barrel. It has 6 holes for a bullet. And you put one bullet in and you spin it. And no one can see if the chamber is lining up with the barrel or not. So it's like a gambling game. And then you go around the group and everyone pulls the trigger once, right? And then you spin it again. And everybody gets the gun and they hold it to their head and they pull the trigger. It's called Russian roulette because Russians exist in a death cult. So we're not playing Russian roulette. We're not. All the chambers are loaded. Anything we do, we kill ourselves. Every barrel of oil that gets pulled out of the ground and set on fire goes into the atmosphere and it stays there for 10,000 years. That's not Russian roulette. That's guaranteed to happen. You're not taking a chance after you burn that barrel of oil if that CO2 is going to go in the atmosphere and enhance global heating or not. There's no chance it won't. It's just guaranteed that it will. And so we're just doing this every day. What is it? What are we up to? Like 40 some odd gigatons, gigatons. So billion tons, 40,000 tons of CO2 enter the atmosphere annually. And what is it? 100 million barrels of oil enter the oil market daily or something like that. I think it's like 100 million. I should probably look it up. I don't give a fuck. Okay. It's a lot. It's a metric ass ton, okay, of oil that hits the market every single day. And where does it go? It all gets burned. And it gets burned every day because every day there's more. It's not like we're digging it out of the ground and storing it and then using it someday later. We need that much every single day for all the driving and the flying and the movement of the goods and the power generation and the heating and the cooling and the electricity and boiling the water and all this kind of stuff. 100 million barrels a day. So this isn't Russian roulette, you stupid clown, retard. Every chamber is loaded. Every barrel of oil is going to do the same thing every single time. There's no chance that it won't. There's no chance that it won't. There's no chance that it won't. You pull it out of the ground, you set it on fire, and the CO2 goes in the atmosphere, and there's no chance that it won't. It's just no chance that it won't. It always will, every single time, predictably, every single time. All the chambers are loaded. All the barrels are full of carbon. You light them on fire, and every single time you light them on fire, the same thing happens. There's no chance that it won't because of physics. It can't happen otherwise. There is no Russian roulette. There is no chance in this. We just take it's the same thing every day. We take the same amount of oil out of the ground every single day. And we send it to the same places every single day. And the same thing happens to it every single day. And every time that happens, the CO2 goes in the atmosphere every single day. And next day, we do the whole thing over again. There's no chance involved. There's no slippage. There's no deviations possible. It's just every single day, the same thing. Oil out of the ground, set it on fire, CO2 in the atmosphere. Oil out of the ground, set it on fire, CO2 in the atmosphere. Oil out of the ground, CO2, set it on fire, CO2 in the atmosphere. Every day, same thing. Oil out of the ground, set it on fire, CO2 in the atmosphere. Every single day. No chance involved. No risk of not doing that. There's no risk of not doing that every single day. Oil out of the ground, set it on fire, CO2 in the atmosphere. All the chambers are loaded. This guy's a clown. This is all narrative warfare. I've gotten through 4 paragraphs. Everything they've said is wrong. Everything they said is anti-science. It's against physics. Everything they say is wrong. We need an exit ramp off the highway of climate hell. Well, that's very poetic. That could be like rock lyrics, right? We should feed that to some AI and have it write us a rap song for that. We need an exit ramp off the highway to climate hell. Exit to where? We're on the highway to climate hell. I mean, technically it's arrived. So welcome to climate hell, I guess. So you're trying to get off the highway to climate hell. At this point, you've already arrived. So what's our metaphor now? And an exit ramp to where? Climate nirvana? No. Every year that we've gone forward, we've gotten deeper and deeper and deeper into the do, okay? Deeper into shit every year. And when you get off the highway and you stop doing that, when you stop doing the thing I was just describing, pump the barrel of oil out of the ground, set it on fire, and put the CO2 in the atmosphere every day. 100 million barrels every single day. When you stop doing that, when you don't take the barrel of oil out of the ground and you don't set it on fire, when you stop doing that, and by that I mean not 99 barrels of oil every day, 99 million barrels of oil every day, or 98 million barrels of oil every day, but 0 barrels of oil every day. I mean, that's your off ramp. That's what that's called. If you want, we need an off ramp. Okay. Well, you don't have to use euphemisms. You don't need to hand wave and pretend you don't know what that means. Just say what it means. Let's just go back to physics, shall we? And here's what we've been doing. As we go down the highway to climate hell, as he likes to call it, the highway to climate hell is 100 million barrels of oil a day, taken out of the ground, set on fire, and the CO2 released into the atmosphere. That's the highway. So your exit ramp is to stop doing that, okay? Don't pump the oil. 0 millions of barrels of oil from the ground every day. 0. That's your exit ramp. You don't have to pretend that we don't know what that is. And you don't have to use metaphors like exit ramps off of highways. Just say what it is. No, he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that because he doesn't want to do that. So he uses all this florid, poetic language that would be a great lyrics in a rap song, right? Lyrics. He was waxing lyrical, as we like to say. Russian roulette. There's no chance to any of this. And the highway is the way. There is no other way. He wouldn't have another way. He doesn't want us, this guy, Guterres, he doesn't want us to stop pulling 100 million barrels of oil out of the ground every day, setting it on fire. He doesn't want us to stop doing that. So he says we need an exit ramp because that's nothing. That's meaningless. That's just poetry. We need an exit ramp off the highway to climate hell. Well, first of all, we're in climate hell. Enjoy your stay. And now we're not even on the highway anymore. Well, we never left the highway because every day we're going to keep doing the thing. As temperatures surge, global climate commitments are hanging by a thread, he warned. The climate commitments, which is Paris Climate Accords, right, were always voluntary. There was nothing hanging by a thread. They were never hanging. They were never there. They were always voluntary. So if he's saying we should have done something back in, 2005 or 2015 or whatever it was, 2015, we should have done something. Okay, you could say that if you want to. You could say we should have done something when we signed the Paris Climate Accords. We should have made the commitments non-voluntary, and we should have done them. He could say that, but hanging by a thread, it was always voluntary. It was never hanging. There was never a thread. There was nothing. It wasn't dangling. It wasn't moving back and forth hypnotically. It was a nothing. It was always nothing. It was always voluntary. We didn't do it. Surprise, surprise. Copernicus data, I'm not talking. Copernicus data showed each month since 2023 has been at least 1.5 degrees warmer than temperatures before industrialization, when humans started burning large amounts of planet heating fossil fuels. Okay. The average global temperature over the past 12 months was 1.6 degrees above these pre-industrial levels. So we hit 1.5, and I remember when we did, and people were oohing and awing and saying, "Hey, we were supposed not to go over 1.5. What's up with that?" Well, now we're 1.6, so we're going over, and our over is going over, right? Under the Paris Agreement, finally talking about Paris, okay, which is all voluntary. I don't know if they're going to mention that it's voluntary, but I'm telling you right now, the Paris Climate Accords was all voluntary. It was worse than that. Pick your own actions. This is the advice to nations, right? Pick what you want to do, and then it's voluntary. But we want you to pick something. And it can be ridiculous. It can be a clown act. It doesn't matter. Just pick something, and then say you're going to do that voluntarily. All of it's voluntary. And some nations didn't even pick. And some nations picked something, and it was a clown act. It was like, well, why'd you even bother? What, you're going to ban advertising for fossil fuels? I guess that's a thing, but it's kind of a clown act. So you do you. If you're a bunch of clowns, you do you. Okay. And then some countries like the US didn't pick anything, didn't commit to what they didn't pick. And then Donald Trump pulled us out of the Paris Climate Accords. Donald, we didn't commit to anything. And it's voluntary anyway. So what are you pulling out of? What a clown. Just stay in. You look better staying in than pulling out of this non-committed, non-project, non-required, non-effective, non-thing. Just stay in and claim that you're all about that. But he didn't, because he was an ideologue. So he had to pull us out because everyone is saying, this is all woke and this is all liberal and get us out of that Paris Climate Accords. It's all voluntary. What do you care? But get us out because we don't want to get cooties. Okay, fine. So now we're not getting cooties. Whatever. What a bunch of clowns. Under the Paris Agreement of 2015, countries agreed to limit global heating to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels. They did. While this aim refers to warming over decades rather than a single month or year, scientists say this breach is an alarming signal. Yes, we went over 1.5. And then as soon as the Clown Act, we went over 1.5 within, a few years of signing the Paris Climate Accords, saying that we wouldn't. So we went over 1.5 above baseline. And you should have heard the people like Guterres come boiling out of the woodwork. And they're like, oh, well, that doesn't count. Yes, we went over 1.5, but that cannot possibly count because it would be terrible if it counted. So instead, we're going to have new rules. We can exceed 1.5 for 20 years. That's the new rule. We just exceeded 1.5, but that doesn't count because the new rule is we can't exceed it for more than 20 years. If we exceed 1.5 degrees above baseline for more than 20 years, well, then we screwed the pooch. Then you can beat us about the head and shoulders as being bad. But until we've exceeded it for 20 years, new rule. Because reasons. Because they didn't expect we ever would. They didn't expect, after signing that agreement, kissing each other on the mouth and going home, that they would ever see it. Because some climate nitwit told them, oh yeah, 1.5 degrees. That's far enough away from where we are now, which is like 1.1 at the time, that we probably won't exceed that for 20, 30 years, maybe even 50 years. So by the time it happens, you'll all be retired and living in your mansion in Milan, and you won't have to worry about it. You claimed that we wouldn't go over 1.5, but you're not going to be the one held to account because it's going to be 30 years from now, and we'll all be retired and drinking margaritas and Puerto Vallarta. So don't worry about it. Just pick 1.5. It's a good number, nice round figure, and it's far enough away in the future. And then boom, we went over like the next day, practically speaking. The ink wasn't even dried on the document that they had signed. We will not go over 1.5. And like the next, they walk outside. The ink still wet on the page, right? They walk outside and we're over 1.5. That's how it felt, right? And they're like, what? You promised me this would never happen. You promised me we could avoid this. You promised me that if I signed on to this, I would never be held to account. I just stepped outside and it's already over 1.5. Who came up with this number? We need a better number. And they said, okay, don't worry. We have a new rule. It has to be over 1.5 above baseline for 20 years. So we still bought you 20 years. You don't worry about it. In 20 years, you'll be retired and you'll be in Puerto Vallarta sipping margaritas in 20 years. By the time anybody comes back and says, look, it's been over for 20 years now. You said that 20 years was the new rule. Now it's been over 1.5 for 20 years. And actually now it's up to 3.0. But I guess we can't worry about 3.0 above baseline for another 20 years. But we're going to worry about the 1.5 above baseline because it's been 20 years. God damn it. And you said that was the rule. Of course, they'll change the rule. It has to be above 1.5 for 20 years. For 20 years, buying themselves another 20 years before they have to be held to account. So you see what this is? Whatever. Are you buying this? If you want to buy this, if you want to let them set the rules and keep changing the rules and moving the goalposts, and you think you got a handle on things, and then things go south, and they got to move the goalposts over here. If that's how you want to live your life, fine. Well, you're probably going to die, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. This is all physics. No, I'm sorry. They're going to take control of the spiraling climate crisis. I'm sorry. I should have said what I just said, that you're going to die, because they, at some point, maybe 20 years from now, when we've been over 1.5 above baseline for 20 years, then they are going to take control of the spiraling climate crisis. Just you watch. Just you wait 20 years. And then just you watch 20 years, and they'll take control of the spiraling climate crisis somehow, whatever that means. And it has to involve, thermodynamics. But anyway, they'll have it figured out in 20 years from now. That's what they're saying. This is exceeding 1.5 degrees. This is a harbinger of progressively more dangerous climate impacts. Could you be more specific? Close on the horizon, said Richard Allen, a climate professor at the University of Reading in the UK. The news comes as the Western U.S. is experiencing its first heat wave so far this summer. I'm in it right now. With temperatures soaring into the triple digits, not here, but it could. But unprecedented heat has already left a trail of death and destruction across the planet this spring. Now, let's be very specific. The parts of the planet this spring that endured death and destruction don't count. India, Southeast Asia, parts of Africa, Mexico, I don't know, places I can't even find on a map, right? Brown people, poor people don't participate in the global economic system. There was a guy, Nordhaus, got a Nobel Prize in economics for pointing out that's how it really is. They don't count. So you don't have to worry about them. And you don't have to change any of your economic goals to suit those people, because if they die, who cares? That was basically his thing. And he got a Nobel Prize in economics for that shit. Genocidal motherfuckers. Not making this up. Like, you can't make this up. Dozens have died in India over the past few weeks as temperatures pushed towards 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. That's dozens that you know of. Dozens that they're willing to report. Dozens that they couldn't avoid reporting because someone caught them on camera. Someone with a cell phone wandering around found 12 people laying in the street dead. Dozens. Okay? For all you know, it was 12,000. It could have been 120,000. You have no idea. They're never going to tell you. They're never going to tell themselves. Do you think that Narendra Modi in India, who's practically a dictator, is going to allow any bad news about India? Ever? He's going to do like Ron DeSantis and make it illegal, a felony, a treason, an act of treason to reveal these numbers. It'll be treasonous to talk about global heating and actually have numbers. Dozens have died in India. It'll always be no more than dozens have died in India. Even when it's hundreds of thousands dying in India, it'll be dozens have died in India. Well, it's true, of course. If it's 100,000 people dead in India last week, well, it's certainly dozens, right? It's a lot of dozens. It's what, 10,000 dozens? But it's still dozens. 10,000 dozens of people died in India, which is dozens, plural. So it works. It'll always be dozens of people have died in India, even if it's a million. And they've got 1,500 million people. So they can lose a million people 1,500 times, 1,500 times before there are no people peopling in India. And when there's no people peopling in India, how many people are dying in India from global heating? None. So it's not even dozens anymore. It's literally none. No people are dying in India this year. No people have died in India this year. And not even dozens. Just none. Because there aren't any people. They're all gone. Well, they're all dead. Or a combination of the two. Because if you're just going to talk about numbers, then that's what happens with numbers. When everyone's dead, the number of people dying goes to zero. We won. We solved the climate crisis. Golf clap. Are we clever monkeys? We solved the problem in the undeveloped world. There are no deaths now. We're so smart. We're so clever. And we drove, and we flew, and we moved our goods, and we went vacation to Disneyland. We vacationed in the continent, and we did all the things. And now there are no deaths in India. We solved the problem. Aren't we amazing? Because that's what happens if you're going to focus on numbers. First, it was 10,000 dozens, and then it was 0 dozens. Problem solved. And it was never more than dozens. Narrative warfare. That's what this is. This is all narrative warfare. Brutal temperatures in Southeast Asia have caused dozens of deaths, school closures, and shriveling crops. And as heat surged in Mexico, howler monkeys, dozens, dropped dead from trees. Hotter air and oceans also fuel heavier rainfall and destructive storms, like those that have battered the United States. I've talked about that here on this channel. Brazil, Kenya, and the United Arab Emirates, among other nations last year. Hey, here's a thought. How about we just have the whole list of nations? Because this was like 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4 nations. And most people, most Americans, most Europeans, can't even find Kenya on a map, or Brazil for that matter, or the UAE. They can find the United States most of the time. But these other 3 can't even find them on the map. What about the other nations that have had heavier rainfall and destructive storms? Because I know for a fact, sitting right here right now, June 5th, 2024, that Germany has been having weeks of record floods, destroying them completely. And a few months ago, the UK was having storm after storm, named storms, one after the other. They're like a week apart, coming ashore in the UK from the ocean, coming from the North Atlantic. Enormous storms like they've never seen, and storm surges that were destroying entire villages that had been there for hundreds of years. This is England, one of the oldest places in civilization, and these storm surges were coming in and wiping out these villages, and the rains were coming down in buckets and washing away these people, and all these floods up to the roof of the house, and all this stuff going on in England. Why aren't they on the list? Oh, I see. Among other nations. I'd like to see the list. How about we see the list? Because everybody's on this list. It's going to be a long fucking list. So this is narrative warfare. Now they put the U.S. first, so we're like, ooh, the U.S. Then they have these Brazil, Kenya, Gooberville, Lusitania, places you've never even heard of, right? Couldn't find on a map. They didn't mention the UK. They didn't mention Germany. They didn't mention Italy. They didn't mention Turkey. They didn't mention Spain and Portugal. Why didn't they? They could have, but they didn't. Because narrative warfare. They don't want you to know. They don't want you to remember. They don't want you to think about it. They don't want to name anybody other than the U.S. I guess they have to call out the U.S. But they don't want to name anybody else that you would give a fuck about. Because they don't want you giving any fucks. No fucks given. This list, Kenya? Brazil? What? Ever. whatever, right? Narrative warfare, it works. They do it because it works. They do it because it works. And it does work. The recent heat offers a window into the future with extreme heat that challenges the limits of human survivability. Ooh, that's good stuff right there. I'll read that again. The recent heat offers a window into the future. Well, technically the present. The recent heat offers a window into the future with extreme heat that challenges the limits of human survivability, said Ben Clark, a researcher at Imperial College London's Grantham Institute. It is vital people understand that every tenth of a degree of warming exposes more people to dangerous and potential deadly heat, he told CNN. Back to numbers. You see how they do that? Every tenth of a degree. You're not going to know when it rises a tenth of a degree. You're not going to know what the tenths are right now. How many tenths are we? 2, 3? Did it ever go down? It went down by a tenth of a degree. Ha ha, it is to laugh. Just numbers, right? And when you go outside and you try to breathe the air, it hits you like a frying pan in the face. Doesn't feel like a tenth of a degree. What the hell is this? This is fucking hot. It's never been this hot before. Why is it so hot? Can anybody point to this and tell me what's going on? Oh, it's a tenth of a degree warmer. Don't worry about it. No, it's not a tenth of a degree warmer. Where I'm standing when I open my door and I put my face outside to try to breathe the tenth of a degree warmer air. It's not a tenth, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's not a tenth of a degree, okay? I can't even breathe the air. And I don't have any air conditioning. And I have to keep the doors closed all day because I can't let any of this heat in because it's going to kill me because I got nowhere to go. And I'd have to go outside to go there. And I can't do that either. And I'm trapped in my house. I don't have air conditioning. And I'm in the shower and I'm running the cold water on me. And that's what I did all day because whatever. It's fucking hot. And it's not a tenth of a degree. It's not a tenth of a degree. I'm pretty sure. I don't know what it actually is, but that's not it. That's not what I'm dealing with right now. A tenth of a degree. Please tell me what's happening. This is narrative warfare. Every tenth of a degree of warming exposes more people to dangerous and potentially deadly heat. No one's going to understand that sentence. And when it hits them, it's not going to be a tenth of a degree. I like this part, though. The recent heat offers a window into the future with extreme heat that challenges the limits of human survivability. For definitions of the future that include tomorrow. Okay? A window into tomorrow with extreme heat that challenges the limits of human survivability. I've been saying that a lot on this channel. And if you've been paying attention, you've heard me say this many times. It's not climate change, people. Nope. It's not climate change that's going to kill you. It's not climate change that's going to kill the howler monkeys. It's not climate change that's going to kill the people in India dozens at a time. It's heat. It's heat. That's what's happening. That's the physics of this. It's global heating. It's not even global warming. Warming sounds nice. Oh, warmer in the winter. I'm down for that. No, this is heating. Global heating. You're going to die. It's going to get so fucking hot. You can't breathe outside. It's going to kill you. You're going to be in the shower running cold water on yourself trying to survive. And then at night, it's not going to cool down enough even to sleep because it's hot, because it's fucking global heating. It's not climate change. It's not global warming. It's fucking global heating. How many times do I have to say this? They're saying it. It's going to be hot. Extreme heat, not extreme warm, not extreme climate. It's going to be hot. It's going to be heat. It's going to kill you. Global heating is going to kill you. It's going to kill my neighbors. It's going to kill these people. It's going to kill those people out there in their car. Is it going to kill all the howler monkeys? It's going to kill all the birds. All the penguins are going to die. Everything is going to die from the heat. Heat. It's going to get hot. It's going to be extreme heat. You're going to die. You're not going to be able to breathe the air. The water coming into your house, going into your shower is going to be 90 degrees. It's not even going to be refreshing to stand under the shower and trying to cool off because the water itself is going to be 90 degrees coming in from the fucking street. Heat. It's getting hot. It can only get hot. It will never cool down. It will always be hot. Every year will be hotter than the year before. Every month will be hotter than the same month the year before. The temperature goes up. It never goes down. It only goes up. It can only go up. Every day, we pull 100 million barrels of oil out of the ground, set it on fire, and put the CO2 in the atmosphere. Every day. It's not Russian roulette. It's not a chance thing that might happen. Every single day, it happens like clockwork. And frequently, the amount we pull out of the ground and put into the atmosphere as CO2 goes up. Periodically, it increases. It doesn't go down. And the amount of oil that we need to survive every single day increases. And when it gets hot, you need more. You need more oil out of the ground to compensate for the fact that it's so hot, because you're going to have to take that oil, you're going to have to turn it into air conditioners, you're going to have to sell the air conditioners to people who install them in their houses, then they need electricity, so you have to burn more natural gas to create more electricity for all the newly manufactured air conditioners, and it's just a death spiral. It's a death spiral. And this year, we're pulling 100 million barrels of oil out of the ground every single day. And next year, at the same time, it'll be 120 million barrels of oil, because we need more oil just to survive the heat, which we created by pulling the oil out of the ground in the first place and setting it on fire. But we're going to have to keep doing this because it's a trap and we can't get out, and there's no way out. And every year it gets worse. And every year the temperature of the planet goes off the charts again, just like it did last time. Every year it goes off the charts. And we're in a trap. You're trapped. I'm trapped. You're trapped. The neighbors are trapped. Everybody's trapped. It's a trap. You can't get out. It's a trap and you can't get out. All you can do is dig deeper, because you can't get out. You're fucked. So am I. So are the howler monkeys. So are all the birds on the planet. So are all the dozens of people in India. Dozens, I'm told. And the dozens of people in Southeast Asia, and the dozens of people in Mexico, and the dozens of people in the U.S. Southeast. Yeah, dozens of people, I'm told, are at risk. How many dozens? Thousands of dozens? Tens of thousands of dozens? Millions of dozens? How many people were we really talking about? By the dozen. And we can't get out. There's no way out. What was it he said? World leaders to swiftly take control of the spiraling climate crisis or face dangerous tipping points. That sentence has no information content. It's not a climate crisis. It's getting fucking hot. Yeah, it's increasing. Although spiraling doesn't really say that, because it could be spiraling down like a drain, right? It happens to be spiraling up. It always goes up. Last year, 2023, was off the charts. This year is off the charts again, and could be even off the charts compared to 2023. I guess we'll find out. And you're going to take control of that? How? Exactly. I need detailed description of how you are going to do that within the laws of physics. And you really need to talk about the laws of thermodynamics and probably some other things and long words and equations. I want to hear it. I want to see it. I want to know exactly what you're going to do to take control of the spiraling climate crisis, which is actually global heating. I'd like to know how any of you clowns are going to do that, other than wearing bulbous noses and funny hats. Is that what you're going to do? You're going to run around pretending to trip and juggle your chainsaws and trip and juggle the chainsaws? That's what you're going to do? Is it going to be a clown act? Wearing rainbow wigs or something? Is that what you're going to do? Because you're all a bunch of clowns. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're just clowns. I'm surrounded by clowns saying clown things. Meanwhile, it's going to be 93 degrees outside my house. I've got air conditioning. Lucky me, right? No, not luck. I went out and I bought it and I installed it. No luck involved. No Russian roulette. Dozens have died in India. Yeah, dozens of dozens. How many dozens? 1,000 dozen? Could be 1,000 dozen, by the way. Could have been 12,000 people. Dozens. That counts. There's definitely dozens, plural. Dozens, plural. I said it right. I know how to use the English language. Dozens in the plural. It works for most people, so they do it. They just do it. They just fucking do it. Doesn't work for me because I know what the hell's going on, but no one else knows. So who cares about that cougar guy? What does he know? He's just one guy. He knows the truth. He knows what's happening. He knows that why we write these things this way. Yeah, he says what we're doing. He's called us out, but he's just one guy. He's got 44 followers on YouTube. Fuck him. Fuck him. Who cares what he thinks? He's right, but who cares if he's right? No one cares. Dozens have died in India. There you go, right there in headlines. Dozens have died in India, right there on CNN. Dozens. So don't worry about it. And they're Indian people. Come on. Dozens of people in India died. Yeah. It's coming for you. I mean, you're a dozen people, right? You could be in a dozen people. You need to be worried that this is what they're doing. Dozens in India. It could be dozens in East Texas. It could be dozens in, Louisiana. Dozens. It's true. Plural. It could be any number of dozens. The recent heat offers a window into the future with extreme heat that challenges the limits of human survivability, provided that you understand that the future could be this afternoon. Because it could be. And for some dozens of people in India, it will be this afternoon for them when they can't survive anymore and they die. Every day, dozens of people in India will hit the limits of their survivability. There you go. A dozen here, a dozen there. Pretty soon, everyone's dead, a dozen at a time. Does anyone care? I mean, seriously. I mean, let's just look at this. Does anyone can most people in the industrialized world, can anybody find India on a map? No, they can't. They've heard of it, but they can't find it on a map. And that's how unconcerned they are about dozens of people dying in India. And would anyone care if everyone in India died from extreme heat? Would they care any more than if they heard that every kangaroo in Australia died of extreme heat? You would care, right? You would say, well, that's terrible. What are they going to do? They all died? Is that right? All the kangaroos died in Australia? So are you telling me there's no kangaroos now? Did the ones in the zoos die? So there's no kangaroos now? I just can't believe that. That can't be true. Kangaroos were everywhere. I've seen documentaries with kangaroos, and David Attenborough had kangaroos. It's like, now they're gone. You're telling me they're gone? They're all dead? That can't be right. I just don't believe that. That just can't be true. All the kangaroos. I mean, I heard that dozens had died in Australia of heat, and now you're telling me they're all dead? No. No, I just don't believe it. Dozens, yeah, sure, dozens. But no. And it'll be the same thing with the people of India. Last I heard about people in India dying, it was dozens. And now you're telling me most of them are dead? What? No, that can't be right. That's like they had like lots of people. Wasn't it like the most populous country on earth at one time or something? And I know they've been having trouble with the heat, and now you're telling me they're mostly dead? And it happened like in 3 years? Really? That's fiction. That's just science fiction. What'd you read that in the National Enquirer? You got that off of 4chan? I mean, what are you talking about? Dozens. I mean, okay, fine, dozens. And that's a tragedy. And I really hate to hear that. And they need more technology. They need more innovation. Air conditionings or something, okay? And then those rural people, they don't really, do they even count? I mean, I shouldn't say things like that because they're people. People are people. But are we really going to turn our entire global economy upside down to save all those rural people in India who don't have air conditioners? I mean, we should, right? We really should. But we didn't. And I'm okay. So, it's like Russian roulette, right? Some people get unlucky. But we just have to do better next time. That's what we have to do. We have to do better next time. And, we'll do better. It'll get better. Trust me, it'll get better. And we just need more innovation and we need more, really smart people thinking about this. We need our generation's Albert Einstein, right, to sit down and think about this. And now that there are dozens of people dead in India, and they tell me all the kangaroos, so what are you going to believe, right? But they said it, so maybe there is a problem with the kangaroos. Grant you that. So we have problems with the kangaroos. We have the problem with the people living in India. So there's a problem. Okay, fine. I'll admit that there's a problem. And, we just need to get some really smart people looking at this. That's all. We just, who are the smart people? Is there any, I'm pretty sure they can figure it out. If it was really as bad as that, they would figure it out, right? Somebody would. The UN would figure it out. They would do something about the kangaroos. Oh, the Australians have to figure out the kangaroos. And if they didn't figure out the kangaroos, well, then that's on them, right? I've never really seen a kangaroo and whatever. So kangaroos are only found in Australia, and Australia, whatever, right? They'll figure it out. And the people in India, dozens are dying. That's sad. And this rumor that most of the people in India have died of heat related mortality. I don't know. Come on. If it was as bad as that, wouldn't we hear about it? Dozens. I've heard that many times, many dozens. Okay, fine. But this other stuff can't be right. Sounds like fiction to me. Extreme events turbocharged by climate chaos are piling up, destroying lives, pummeling economies, and hammering health. Well, that's a bunch of descriptive bullshit. Pummeling economies and hammering health. Destroying lives, pummeling economies, and hammering health. Well, I guess if you're dead, your health has been hammered. That's true. No disagreement with that. Humanity is having an outsized impact on the world, he said, likening it, trying to speak this morning, likening it to the meteor that began the process of wiping out dinosaurs 66 million years ago. In the case of climate, we are not the dinosaurs. That's hopeful. That's an optimistic take. We are not the dinosaurs. Well, that's definitive. Really? Is that a guarantee? Can I take that to the bank? Is that guaranteed? In the case of climate, we are not the dinosaurs. Okay, fine. And there he says something that I do agree with. And this is subtle. And I've been saying this for a long time. And it always cracks me up when I say it. Because it's funny as shit, okay? In the case of climate, we are not the dinosaurs, Guterres said. We are the meteor. We are not only in danger, we are the danger. So, and that's true. That's a clever way of saying it. But as for this, we are not the dinosaurs. We are in danger. We are the dangers. The dinosaurs are fucking extinct, motherfucker. Okay. And that's why he has to say, we are not the dinosaurs. Okay. We're not the dinosaurs. Really? Really? We're not the dinosaurs? You think so? But we are the meteor, but we're not the dinosaurs? If you say so. If you say so, it must be right. We're not the dinosaurs. That sounds good, because the dinosaurs are fucking extinct, motherfucker. So we had to say that, because we are the meteor. And I've said that many times. Okay. Here's another thing I have a little bit. Okay, I'm not going to go into this because it's back to the article. Okay, I'll talk about the Anthropocene some other time. An even hotter future. That's the section title. Global temperatures are expected to start dropping below record-breaking levels in the next few months as El Nino, a natural climate phenomenon that tends to boost the planet's average temperature, weakens. Yeah, the El Nino, because actually it's the ENSO. The El Nino is one of the swings of the ENSO. Those El Nino on one swing and La Nina on the other. And people have been saying, oh, well, this record heat, it must be El Nino because El Nino warms the planet. We've had lots of El Ninos, folks. Lots. They happen every 5 or 7 or 8 years. We've had lots of them in the recorded climate record. We've been doing climate records like this one for, 6, 8, 10 decades. And we've had lots of El Ninos in that time. And El Nino never did this shit to us. Something else is going on, people. Something else went down in the June of 2023. Some shit went down. And maybe El Nino was in the mix, but man, there was some other shit went down, let me tell you. And I haven't heard any definitive or likely sounding reasons why shit went down in 2023, June of 2023. Yeah, there was an El Nino, but man, that was some crazy shit went down. And we've had lots of El Ninos, and we never saw crazy shit like that. Something else is going on. Don't know what it is. Doesn't look good. Looks bad. Looks very abundantly lethal. And dozens of people are going to die as a consequence. Global temperatures, I'll read this again. Global temperatures are expected to start dropping below record-breaking levels in the next few months as El Nino weakens. Now, that's a prediction. They're predicting that we will no longer be setting record temperatures as El Nino weakens. Okay, we'll see if that happens. What if it don't? Are they going to come back and say, oopsie, we done it wrong? Of course not. They're just going to tell you right now, as you're panicking over dozens of people dying in the heat, right? Not the global climate change, not the Russian roulette, the heat, the fucking physics coming to kill us, being successful in doing that by the dozens, okay? By the hundreds of dozens or the thousands of dozens or the millions of dozens, some number of dozens. The heat is going to murder them, kill them in the streets, kill them in their homes, kill them in their sleep, kill them on the bus, kill them on the way to work, kill them at work by the dozens. But El Nino is going to weaken. Phew. Well, then I have nothing to worry about because it's natural anyway. Phew. It's not me. It's not me and my 100 millions of barrels of oil a day that get pulled out of the ground and set on fire and the CO2 released in the atmosphere every single day like clockwork. It's not me and my part of that. Phew. What a relief. I'm not killing or responsible for any of those dozens of people. Phew. I'm relieved. I feel really great. Hey, guess what? Let's load up the truck and drive to Disneyland because I am really relieved to know that I have no responsibility for that dozens of people. Hundreds of dozens or thousands of dozens or millions of dozens, whatever the dozens is. There's a dozen. You buy donuts by the dozen, for fuck's sake. It's not that many, okay? Man, am I relieved that it's El Nino. Whew. They had to say that, okay? They had to say that. They had to put that in there because they needed a narrative of what, well, you personally don't have to worry about it because it's just going to go away. They had to insert dozens because that's how you buy donuts and bagels, right? They had to insert that in there because it's not very many. I can eat that many donuts at a sitting. A dozen donuts, a dozen Indians. What difference does it make? And here we are. El Nino is going to weaken and the problem goes away because it's all natural anyway. Phew. Never mind the fact that we had an El Nino like 7 years ago and none of this shit went down. No one's going to connect those dots. But it's El Nino, and El Nino is now on the way out. Phew, that's a relief. Party on. But that will mean an end to the long-term trend of rising temperatures as humans continue to burn planet-heating fossil fuels. True statement. There's a few true statements in here, interspersed with just deep layers of bullshit, right? There's a few true statements. But that won't mean an end to the long-term, the ending of El Nino won't mean an end to the long-term trend of rising temperatures as humans continue to burn planet-warming fossil fuels by the 100 millions of barrels a day. Okay, let's be specific. Quote, while this sequence of a record-breaking months will eventually be interrupted, you're hoping, the overall signature of climate change remains, and there is no sign in sight of a change in such a trend. True. The overall signature of climate change, global heating, remains, and there is no sign in sight of a change in that trend. True statement. I could. Okay, but again, this guy's a bureaucrat. He just said something kind of shitty here. There is no, I got to be a little careful here. There is no sign in sight of a change in such a trend. That kind of implies that there's a narrative about a change in the trend. You see what he just did there? There's no sign in sight at the moment of a change in such a trend. Let me tell you something about this. There can be no sign in sight. It's like when Guterres said, we need an off-ramp off of this highway to hell, to climate change hell. We need an off-ramp. That would be a sign, right? An off-ramp. They're almost saying the same thing here. They're using the same kind of narrative that we're on a road and we're looking for a sign that says exit here. Because that's what signs do. Signs, look up the word sign in the dictionary. It can mean many things. But for most people, it's an indication that there's a way out. Okay? And he's saying there is no sign in sight of a change in such a trend. It's worse than that. There is no exit from this. There is no exit. You would have to modify the laws of physics for there to be an exit from this. And if someone will come along and say, okay, but we could reduce our hundreds of millions of barrels a day of fossil fuel consumption of oil alone. We could reduce that. And that's just the oil, by the way. There's also natural gas over here and there's coal over there. And that's a whole nother shit show, right? But just talking about the oil, there's 100 million barrels of oil that we could stop pumping out of the ground, that we could stop burning. Well, you could. And monkeys could fly out of my butt, okay? But because you're not going to do that. You could. It's possible that you could. Right now, it's impossible even to talk about it. No one's talking about it. Nowhere in this article did they talk about that. They never brought up the oil. Hardly. Certainly not the 100 millions of barrels, and certainly not stopping the oil industry. That it was never in here. So we're not even thinking about talking about it. But it's worse. He says, there is no sign in sight of a change in such a trend. There cannot be a sign in sight. There is no sign. There will never be such a thing. Because changing this trend is not possible. Can't be done. The things you would have to do to accomplish a change in the trend are not possible. Everything is possible. No, some things are not possible. And even if you did, and this is possible. I mean, it's possible because it is something we have control over. So here's three possible things you could do. Oh, and by the way, you'd have to do all three of them. So it's like triple impossible, but here's three possible things you could do. Possible, impossible things. But they are possible because we are in control if we want to be sometime. You could stop taking coal out of the ground. That's possible because we do that. We could stop doing it. I don't know how we would stop doing it. And all the nations that currently pull coal out of the ground would also have to all agree to stop doing that. So I don't see how that's possible. But you could, in some parallel universe, you could stop pulling coal out of the ground. Okay, so that's a possible impossible thing. And here's another one you'd have to do. You'd have to stop pulling natural gas out of the ground. The fracking and the pumping and the pipelines and all that, you'd have to stop doing that. You're not going to, but you could. I mean, you could stop. You won't, but you could. And you could get every nation on the planet to agree to stop doing the same thing at the same time, right? All the nations that pull natural gas out of the ground, and they're all over the place, right? Every nation does it, practically speaking, and they're all doing it. And they've all got tankers and pipelines everywhere, going every place. And you could all just stop. You could. I mean, you could. It's not impossible. You could. And if you stop burning the coal and you somehow figured out how to stop the natural gas, then I guess you could. I mean, it's possible that you could just stop drilling for oil. You could, and you could stop the oil wells you currently have, and you could do that. I mean, you won't, but yes, of course, you could. Yes, of course. I can't say it's impossible. I mean, it is impossible because no one's going to do that. They just can't. They'll all die if they do that. And no one wants to die. So no one's going to do that. But you could do it, I guess. You'd all die without your constant natural gas and your constant coal and your constant crude oil, 100 million barrels a day currently, every single day, like clockwork. Pull it out of the ground, set it on fire, throw the CO2 in the atmosphere, and go back out there the next day and do the same thing and set it on fire and throw the CO2 in the atmosphere. And the day after that, pull it out of the ground, set it on fire, put the CO2 in the atmosphere. That's what we're doing. We could not do it. Could stop doing it. Could. But we won't. We won't because we can't. We could. It's theoretically possible. I could write a sentence that is grammatically correct that says that, humans could stop extracting coal, oil, and natural gas from the planet and setting it on fire and releasing CO2 into the atmosphere. That's a grammatically correct sentence. It contains nothing that's demonstrably, according to the laws of physics, impossible. I could write that sentence, and you could write that sentence, and we could write the same sentence. We could say, yeah, that's grammatically correct. And there's nothing stopping it from happening, except we're not going to do it. So there can never be a sign there's no exit ramp for us where we bend the trend. The line goes up. Temperatures go up. They just keep going up. And we're constantly removing fossil fuels from the ground, coal, oil, and natural gas. And every day we set them on fire. And every day the CO2 goes in the atmosphere. And the next day we go back, we do it all again. Because it has to happen every day. It can never stop. 100 millions of barrels a day can never stop. And it can't even go to 90 million barrels or 80, least of all 70, right? It just can't go down. It must go up. And most years it does. Most years it actually increases. Most years it goes up. And here's the dark little, dirty little, terrifying little secret for you. One of the reasons our fossil fuel consumption, coal, oil, and natural gas, all of them together, the reason that they continue to increase is because of global heating. Because we need to manufacture air conditioners, and we need to put in more hydroelectric power, and we need to buy more solar panels, and we need to have more wind farms because they need the electricity. We need to save ourselves from the global heat, more air conditioning, more electricity. We burn more coal, oil, and natural gas to make all these things and have all this electricity and run more electricity into the rural areas and give everybody in the rural areas an air conditioner and 2 or 3. And we have to save ourselves from global heating. And we're burning the millions of barrels of oil a day. And it's 100 million barrels this week. And it's going to be 110 million barrels next week. And for a difference, why did it go up? Because of global heating. And if you're paying attention, you're sitting back and you're saying, fuck. We can't, what? This can't happen. It can't go up. It's already killing us. It's already making the planet uninhabitable. I can't even breathe the fucking air when I open the door. And you're going to pull more oil out of the ground and set it on fire? More every day? Really? Fuck. No, don't do it. But they have to do it. There is no off-ramp. Line never goes down. None of the lines go down. Ever. It's a death spiral. It's a death spiral. It's a death spiral. And dozens of people are dying already. We don't know how many dozens. Dozens, plural. That covers it. Words have meaning. Dozens. I'm not lying. It's been dozens of people. And tomorrow there will be more dozens. It's a death spiral. The whole thing is a death spiral. And the oil consumption will just go up because people are trying to not die. They're trying to not die. And people that used to walk to the supermarket to not have to burn gasoline will now have to have a car because they can't be out in the weather because it's too hot. And their car will have to have air conditioning. And they'll have to get in their car and air condition their car and drive to the supermarket. And now we're pulling 101 million barrels of oil out of the ground every single day and setting it on fire so that people can get to the supermarket because it's 125 degrees outside and they can't breathe the air. It's a death spiral. How else to say this? Guterres' speech also referenced new data released by the World Meteorological Organization, which found a nearly 86% chance that at least one of the years between 2024 and 2028 will break the hottest year record set in 2023. Well, la-dee-da. 86% chance. That's like guaranteed, okay? We are guaranteed to exceed 2023, which was a shit show, okay? Scientists were like, what the actual fuck just happened? They didn't know. They didn't know what was coming. They still don't know what happened. Oh, it's El Nino. No, it isn't. We've had El Ninos. This didn't happen. 2023 is off the charts, my dude. And we've had lots of El Ninos, and some of them are worse than the one we were just getting out of right now. And this didn't happen. Guess again, pal. There's an 86% chance that at least one of the years between 2024 and 2028, so that's a 4-year span, four fingers. It's guaranteed, 86% chance. It's guaranteed that at least one of the years between 2024 and 2028 will break the hottest record set in 2023. And 2023 was off the fucking charts. And 2023 gave us what we have right now, which is Antonio Guterres telling us that we're in bad shape. And sometime in the next 4 years, it's going to ratchet up that much more and get even worse. You're in trouble, my friend. I don't know who you are. You're watching my video. I'm here to tell you, you're in deep shit right now. Sometime in the next 4 years, you're going to figure that out. Sometime in the next 4 years, you're going to go outside and you're going to see someone dead and their body bloating on the sidewalk. And you're going to be like this. You're going to be like shaking. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? And you're going to go inside and your hand's going to be shaking. You're going to be dialing 911. You're looking out the window. You say, blah, 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 and they're going to say, sir, what's wrong? There's a dead person in front of my fucking house. There's a dead person in front of my house on the sidewalk. They just dropped dead. Yeah, that's you. That's you. Sometime in the next 4 years, that's you. That's you. You're going to have to deal with that shit. That's you. In the near future, there's an 86% chance of that being you. On that phone, dialing 911 with shaking fingers, trying to tell the person, I didn't kill them, they died. They're in front of my house. Fuck, get them out of here. Or there's an 86% chance that it's you on the sidewalk, my dude. And someone's looking out their window and they're shakily dialing 911 because you're a corpse, a bloating corpse dead on the sidewalk in front of their house. Or at the parking lot in the mall because you came out of the Target and you tried to cross the 400 feet or something to get to your car parked out in the hinterlands and you just dropped dead. You had a stroke. The heat got to you. And you're lugging your things and you're getting all perspiry and your heart is pounding and you have a stroke and you fall down dead and all your groceries go across the asphalt. And someone comes along and says, what the fuck? What the fuck? What is this? What's this shit? That's you. Or you're the person who comes along. You see a body sprawled out on the ground, face down on the asphalt, and the bags bursting and all the groceries spreading across the asphalt, the cans still rolling down the asphalt. You're going, what the fuck is this? Where's my phone? Shaky hand, dialing 911. There's a dead person. Sometime in the next 4 years, that's you. Sometime you're either you on the asphalt or you with the 911. That's you. Sometime in the next 4 years, because this shit's getting real. Dozens of people are going to be face down in the parking lot at Target, dead. Dozens of people. I don't have to tell you exactly how many dozens, just dozens of people. Sometime in the next 4 years, guaranteed. So don't worry about it, right? The World Meteorological WMO, because I can't speak this morning. The WMO also calculated a nearly 50% chance, coin toss odds, that global average temperatures over the entire 5-year period between 2024 and 2028 would be more than 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels. That would bring the world closer to breaching the long-term. Remember, it's decades. It's not just 5 years. You have to be decades over 1.5 above baseline before it counts. So don't talk to me if you're dropping dead by the dozens and it's only been 5 years above 1.5 above baseline, because that doesn't count. You're dying for stupid reasons because you're a stupid poopy head. And, it's only been 5 years that we've been above the 1.5 drop dead baseline. And all those people that are dying, they're not dying because of global heating, you poopy head. They're dying for other reasons. They made bad life choices. Okay. And they should have had more air conditioning. And everybody knew that. And until it's been 20, 40, I don't know, maybe 100 years of 1.5 above baseline, it doesn't count. And you're just a poopy head. That's what they're doing now. Because we all got up on a number and the number is 1.5. And now all they have to say is, well, you're doing it wrong. It has to be for 20 years. And you're just a poopy head. That's what they're doing. It doesn't matter that in the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to be face planted down in the middle of the parking lot, your groceries rolling away from you because you died. They don't want to hear about that. They don't want to talk about that. Dozens of people for some value of dozens. And it can be 1.5 above baseline. We didn't want that, but now it is. But it has to be for like 40 years above in a row. And don't be a poopy head about it. Don't scare people like that fucking Cougar guy. Don't listen to him. You don't listen to these people. They're scary. Yeah, you need to be scared. These fuckers are going to get you killed. These sons of bitches, they're going to get you killed. Oh, and by the way, even if they told you the truth, you're going to die. And lots of people are going to die by the dozens. And, until there's a lot of people dead. And no one's going to notice. No one's going to care. And whatever. We told you there was a 50%. So we told you there was a 50% chance of dying in the Target parking lot. We told you that. So we told you. So don't hold us to account because we told you. Now you're dead. So, okay, fine. Guterres laid blame. Oh, here we go. Guterres laid blame for the climate crisis firmly at the doorstep of fossil fuel companies that, quote, rake in record profits and feast off trillions in taxpayer-funded subsidies, he said. Okay, I actually have a video, I don't know, like 4 or 5 videos ago, which in these days means 4 or 5 days ago. I have a video that says the oil company is not to blame. I hate those motherfuckers. Okay, but they're not to blame. I mean, are you going to tell me that the oil companies, this is what they're doing? Okay, they're to blame. This is what they're doing. And they're doing this, so therefore they're to blame. They are digging up 100 million barrels of oil, setting it on fire. And that's what they're doing. They're digging up this oil and the coal and the natural gas, and they're like gleefully, like little boys, setting it on fire just to watch it burn. That's what they're doing. They're evil. They're stupid. They're moronic. They're chimps, and they're just digging up the coal and setting it on fire to watch it burn. They're digging up the hundreds of millions of barrels of oil a day and setting it on fire to watch it burn. That's what they're doing. No, they're not doing that. That's ridiculous. Why would they do that? They're businesses. They're digging it up and they're selling it to you. And you're setting it on fire because you like that shit. Because that's how your car works, and that's how your water heater works, and that's how your lighting, and that's everything. And the food gets to the market, and the police come to take the dead bodies away, and all that stuff is fossil fuels. Hundreds of millions of barrels a day. 100 million barrels a day. Every single day. Without fail, like clockwork, every day. And no, they're not setting it on fire, for fuck's sake. They're selling it to people who pay a lot of money for it, who really want it and wouldn't know how to survive without it. Listen to this fucker. Now, hate the oil companies all you want to. Hate them if you want to. Oh, those dirty, despicable oil companies. And while that, and it's the dirty, despicable tobacco companies, and also all those hard liquor and the McDonald's. They're dirty and despicable. There's a lot of companies that are dirty and despicable, and yet you go to McDonald's and you put down your $5 and you eat that fucking burger. It's dirty and despicable, right? But maybe you don't. Maybe you're one of those people that doesn't do that. But a lot of people do. And McDonald's is in business because they're selling their dirty and despicable shit to people who want it and pay money for it. They're in business. They don't make hamburgers and then sneaky give them away to children who don't know any better. Here, child, here's a Big Mac. You're going to like this. That's not what they're doing. People are lining up around the block to go into Mickey D's and get a McDonald's burger. They're selling this shit. People want it. People want the tobacco. They want the hard liquor. And they want the fentanyl. And they want the heroin. And they want the crack. And they want the oil. And they can't survive without it. Don't you get it? You can't survive without it. All my videos end up talking about the same thing. Somewhere towards the end, I end up blowing my stack and saying the same fucking thing. You can't live without it. I don't know what Gutierrez is trying to say. Yes, they're raking in record profits. Of course they are. And they're feasting off of trillions of taxpayer-funded subsidies. Well, if they didn't take taxpayer money, then the price of the fuels would go up. And people would be riding in this. And then when the price of the fuels went up, people wouldn't say, shucks, I guess I can't get gasoline today. Shucks, I guess I'm going to have to walk. Gall darn it, I'm going to have to ride a bicycle finally. After all these years, I'm just going to ride a bicycle. Gall darn it. That's not what they're going to fucking do. You wouldn't. You go stomping into there and you'd be threatening the little Indian guy behind the counter. How dare you charge me $6 a gallon? And then you'd leave there and you'd get in your car and you'd drive to City Hall and you'd be out there banging on the mayor's door. How dare you allow this, you cretin? And when that didn't get you what you wanted, you storm the Capitol and there'd be all these friends of yours storming the Capitol because gas is $7 a gallon and what the hell is wrong with this country and my freedom and Second Amendment and fly the flag upside down and bullshit prices of gasoline and make it stop and fix it. It's all a conspiracy. Tinfoil hats for everyone. If they didn't take the subsidies, you'd have to pay the price. And God forbid that you ever had to pay the price for global heating. God forbid. Dozens of people are dying. Who's going to pay for that? Well, you should, I guess, because it's the atmosphere and the carbon dioxide and the millions of barrels and setting it on fire. And who's doing that? You are. You should pay for that. For the dozens of people dying in India because of the heat. And when a person dies in front of your house because of the heat and they have to be taken away, you should pay to have them taken away. Because some part of that shit show has your name on it. But you're never going to pay for that. Neither am I. There'll never be a bill. Never be a bill. I'll never have to pay for any of that shit. Here I am. Developed world, white, upper middle class, homeowner, property owner. I'm never going to have to pay for a dime of that. Never pay a dime. And if I need more air conditioning, I'll just buy it. Not a problem. And if I have to pay more electricity to cool my house and keep myself alive, fine. I'll pay the bill. It's fine. I'll just do it. But not if you're in rural India. You'll be dying by the dozens, is my prediction. Gutierrez laid blame for the climate crisis firmly at the doorstep. Firmly. He's a tough guy. Firmly at the doorstep of fossil fuel companies that rake in record profits and feast off trillions of taxpayer-funded subsidies. These companies have spent billions of dollars over decades distorting the truth, deceiving the public, and sowing doubt, he added. He called on every country to ban fossil fuel ads. See what he did there? The ads. Ban the fossil fuel ads, motherfucker. No ads. No ads for fossil fuels. I'm being a tough guy. You have an ad for fossil fuels? Off with your head. No ads. Similar to advertising bans implemented around the world for other products that harm human health, like tobacco. They banned the ads for tobacco. Did they ban the tobacco? Fuck no, that's a business. That's a business. And there are people that are addicted to tobacco. Can't get through their day without tobacco. So they're not going to ban tobacco. They'll ban the ads. Okay. These people are already addicted. They just have to know where to get their tobacco. And they go to any market. Well, not all markets. Some markets don't sell tobacco anymore. But they can go to any liquor store, and they're a solid wall of tobacco brands. I didn't even know there could be that many brands of tobacco. Why? But there are. And so there's no ads for tobacco, except there's a fucking wall full of tobacco when you go in there. It's going to be the same thing with fossil fuels. Tough guy, Guterres, will ban the ads for fossil fuels. Ban the ads. Look at me. I'm tough. Grr. Banning the ads for petroleum products. Grr. Fear me in my power. I have the power to ban ads. I'm the ad banner. Who gives a fuck, fat fuck? Ban all the ads you want to, loser. You complete lizard man. You're just a loser. They're not going to ban petroleum products. No, they are not. And the use of petroleum products is going to go up every fucking year. It's a death spiral. It's a death spiral. And what's the key term here in a death spiral? It's not the word spiral, is it? He continues. We are at a moment of truth. Really? There's nothing true in this entire fucking article. We are at a moment of truth, he said, adding that the battle for a livable planet would be won or lost in this decade. So he's going to give you a decade, meaning he's no longer in the UN as Secretary General. He's living in Puerto Vallarta, sipping margaritas, right? He's going to give you a decade to figure out on your own, as ill-informed and ill-advised as you have been for the last 20 years. He's going to give you a decade to figure out that the battle was lost 50 years ago. 50 years ago. We lost this battle. Maybe 60. We lost this battle. We knew 150 years ago there was a battle. And the science started in the 50s. And in the 60s, because there was science, the oil companies got on board and they said, okay, this looks like a threat to our business model. So they did all that. And they figured out, yep, it's a threat to our business model. All right. People are going to start saying we need to leave the fossil fuels in the ground, but we can't have that. So we're going to have alternative science. And that's what they've been doing. Meanwhile, people have gotten addicted to fossil fuels. Oh, and watch this. As global heating becomes increasingly a problem, you need even more fossil fuels just to survive the heating aspect of the fossil fuels you burned 20 years ago. And now the fossil fuels you're going to burn trying to survive, and not being among the dozens, trying to survive the global heating we have today, right now, 20 years from now, you're going to be fighting to survive your carbon emissions today, because it takes 20 years for all of that to filter through the system and manifest itself as heat. So 20 years from now, the heat you're already putting in the pipeline will be threatening you 20 years from now. And every year, that's the case. Every year, the current consumption of fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas, goes into the atmosphere after it's been used, which it's all used, right? I mean, we're not launching it into fucking space, right? We're using it right here on Earth. We're setting it on fire. The CO2 goes into the atmosphere, and that's it. That's what we're doing. Every year, every day, 100 million barrels of oil. And that's just the oil. Okay? And that's what's happening. And so we're doing that. So I guess we're going to keep doing that. And every year, the heat gets worse. And every year, you need more energy to fight the heat. And every year, the heat gets worse from that. And then you need more energy to fight even worse heat. And then the next year, the heat is worse. And you need more energy to fight the heat. And the year after that, it gets worse. And you're running around looking for more things you can set on fire to help you fight the heat that is now the heat. That was the shit you set on fire the year before. It's a death spiral. And there's no way out. There's no way out at this point. This is all physics. It's just all of it is physics. It's not ads. It's reality. It's physics. It's your life. It's your life forever. And for every generation that comes after this one, and every generation that comes after that one, because it's physics and it never changes, except that it gets worse. And maybe it'll get better 1,000,000 years from now. Maybe. But there won't be any humans on the earth when it does. We'll be gone. We'll just be gone. All of us. A dozen at a time. We'll be gone by the dozens. We'll be gone. He called on world leaders to take immediate action. He could be more specific. He could say, stop burning fossil fuels. But he didn't, did he? He's not going to. He called on world leaders to take immediate action, including huge cuts in planet heating pollution. Really? Planet heating pollution? Why don't you just say carbon dioxide emitted by the combustion of fossil fuels? He didn't say that, did he? And an immediate end to any new coal projects. Oh, well, that's interesting. He did say that. Not existing coal projects, but new ones. New. Now, why didn't he say any new oil projects or any new natural gas projects? Because what he's expecting is that the coal consumption will decrease while the fossil fuel and oil consumption increases. See, coal is a dirty energy source. It actually is dirtier than natural gas. So we'll shift human energy requirements to natural gas, but it's still a fossil fuel and it still contributes to the greenhouse effect, but it's not coal. So we'll just burn this other thing and stop burning the old thing that goes back to like the 1850s, right? Well, we won't do the 1850s old school thing. We'll do the 2000s new school thing. And that's a thing. Yeah, you could do that. But it doesn't save you from CO2 emissions. It's just emitting from a different source. And it doesn't save you from global heating because it's still CO2 being released into the atmosphere. And the line goes up. It just keeps getting hotter. And it becomes a death spiral. He called on world leaders to take immediate action, including huge cuts in planet heating pollution. Can you be a little more specific, please? And an immediate end to any new coal projects. He pushed rich countries to commit to quitting coal by 2030. That's 6 years from now, people. Really? When there's coin toss odds that by 2028, we're going to be even double doo-doo? And we have to stop burning coal by 2030? Reducing oil and gas by 60% by 2035. 2035? Are we even going to be alive? Oh, okay, actually. That's an interesting point. And increasing the flow of funding to the poorest, most climate vulnerable nations. Funding, they don't need money. They need us to stop burning fossil fuels. That's what they need. So you're going to send them money? Okay, that kind of makes sense. You can print money. That's paper, right? You can print money on paper and send it to them. Here, have some money. Have some pieces of paper. Piece of paper for you, piece of paper for you, and you get a piece of paper. And I got a piece of paper for your dog too. So everyone gets a piece of paper called money, and we're going to continue over here burning fossil fuels like there's no tomorrow. Okay? So, deal. That's what we're going to do. They don't need money. They need us to stop doing our retarded shit. Okay, that's what they need. So, but no, we can't stop doing our retarded shit. That would be retarded. We cannot accept a future where the rich are protected in air-conditioned bubbles while the rest of humanity is lashed by lethal weather in vulnerable lands, Guterres said. Actually, wherever we are, we can definitely accept a future where the rich are protected in air-conditioned bubbles. That is absolutely acceptable to most people. So I don't know who we are. Him and his mouse he's got in his pocket? Him and his mouse in his pocket, we cannot accept a future where the rich are protected in air-conditioned bubbles while everyone else dies by the dozens. Well, he's talking to the rich. No one else is listening to him but rich people in rich countries having richness. And they're thinking, we cannot accept a future? Why not? That sounds pretty good to me. My 10,000 square foot house already has air conditioners in every room. That works. You mean I can't have that? Well, fuck you, because that sounds great to me. The rich protected in air-conditioned bubbles? Awesome. We can't accept that? Speak for yourself, chump. And the rest of humanity is lashed by lethal weather in unlivable lands. Now here's a news flash. The United States of America, the wealthiest, arguably, the wealthiest and most powerful nation that has ever existed, is being lashed by lethal weather right now. I don't even have to elaborate. And the Hurricane Prediction Center, an American institution, is already warning us of a record hurricane season. And those hurricanes, mostly the only ones they care about. They're not talking about a record typhoon season in Southeast Asia and the Philippines and Taiwan. They're talking about a lethal hurricane season. That's us. That's all they care about. And so there's going to be a record hurricane season, and hurricanes that we care about come ashore in the Gulf states, which is Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, etc., and the Eastern Seaboard, the Carolinas, sometimes all the way up to New York. So lethal weather is here. Lethal weather is here. We've been experiencing lethal weather all of 2024. Well, now there's a coincidence. Ever since the global average temperature went off the fucking chart. Oh, well, let's see now. There could be something to that. Let's see. Since 2023, scientists are running around with their hair on fire, saying what's happened, what happened, what happened. And a little later in the same year, in 2024, right, the same period, we started having storms in the eastern half of the U.S. that were absolutely off the charts, off the hook. People are saying that. What the hell is what just happened? What's going on? What is up with the weather? Week after week after week, torrential rains, torrential everything, floods, hailstones as big as DVDs. They had to make a new size. This year they introduced DVD style hail. You probably can't even find a DVD, but it's big. Used to be softball style hail. Softballs are like I think they're like 4 inches across, right? Well, DVDs are 5 inches. They had to introduce a new size range, a new descriptor for hail, because now they have bigger hail. And so it's just going on and on and on and on. Oh, and just, well, what a coincidence. What a coinkydink. This is also the hottest year on record. What a coincidence. I wonder if there's anything to that. Could be. Let's say global heating. That could have something to do with the weather. It could. I mean, I don't really know why, but hey, it's a coincidence, right? Well, coincidences don't mean much. Could be next year will be different. Could be the heat of the planet keeps going up, and all of a sudden the hail starts getting smaller, right? Who knows what's going to really happen? It's just a coincidence, but it's interesting. A little bit interesting, right? That's happening in the U.S. Richest, most powerful nation that ever existed anywhere in the humanity of everything, all time. Romans can't hold a candle to the shit we put off. We do, right? Man on the moon, the whole thing, right? And our eastern half of our country is being beat down. That's what they're saying. I'm not saying that. They're saying that. They're over there watching their own weather, and they're saying, what is this about? DVD styles hail? I have to go now find a DVD in my collection to compare it. How big is a DVD? I don't even know. What the hell? The hail is as big as DVDs, and I don't even know how big a DVD is. Interesting times, right? Does it ever get better? Nope. No, doesn't get better. Cougar says no. Magic 8 Ball says, don't think so. Doesn't get better, just gets worse. Death spiral for dozens of people, whole dozens at a time. It's a death spiral. No way out. There is no exit ramp. And we're not on the highway to climate hell. We're in climate hell. And the highway goes through climate hell, I guess, and there's no exit ramp because there's no exit. You're already in climate hell. You're going to exit into some other side road of climate hell? What are you talking about? These metaphors don't work. The line goes up. It gets worse. All we are doing now is going deeper and deeper and deeper into climate hell. Whatever that means. Climate hell. What does that even mean? It means global heating. It's going to get hot, people. It's going to get fucking hot. It's hot already. It's 93 degrees outside. What is it? It's like 12 o'clock. It's noon. It's probably 90 degrees, according to my thing right here. 90 degrees outside, 77 degrees inside. It's usually 77 degrees outside. Now it's 90. It's going to be 93. I got the air conditioning running. I turned it on at 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, there you go. So this was on CNN. I'll read the headline again. UN chief says world is on highway to climate hell as planet endures 12 straight months of unprecedented heat. Well, I don't know what to tell you, Mr. Gutierrez. Buckle up. It's going to be a rough ride.